Hi everybody. Today I want to talk to you about rehearsal clothes. This is a short video and it's probably for the younger people, the younger actors. Find out what you're wearing, okay? There could be some surprises when you get to your actual costume and it's not at all what you thought you were wearing because you never looked, okay? Rehearsal skirts, rehearsal jackets, rehearsal shirts. If you're rehearsing in a t-shirt and shorts because it's summertime, and you're wearing a starched collar shirt that you have to have long sleeves on, and it does something when you're fighting or you're reaching or whatever, or you go into your fitting and it doesn't fit correctly when you do this, and you have a lot of reaching in your show, that needs to be discussed with your costume designer. Did you know I'm doing this in the show? I need to do this. So, and maybe you're wearing a jacket and you have to do all these reaching, but the jacket is too tight. That may just be the jacket that they can afford, and you have to go to your director and say, when I have this scene where I'm really got my arms in the air all the time, I can't reach. It won't let me reach. So what if I do that scene in just my shirt? Okay. The shirt is okay, but the jacket is confining. Fight scenes. I had a very wonderful actor, and I had a show. Well, let me just preface, I don't really like weapons on stage if I can avoid it. So, not all shows need weapons. When you need a weapon, there. But if it's a comedy and so forth, that you can get away with it with something else in a fight scene. So, I had him fight. There was a duel, and they had nothing to duel with. So, I had him fight with chopsticks, which was hilarious. So, but I also had him training with chopsticks with his trainer, doing a Karate Kid moment. But I still laugh at my own stuff. That's got to be a term for that. Had him training with his Mr. Miyagi by taking chopsticks and catching soap bubbles with them. So, and I had him on a plinth. So a little stand, a plinth. So that's going to ruin the sound. And it was the height of summer. It was kind of hot out. He never arrived with socks. He lived in flip-flops, sandals, the whole summer. And he was young, which is fine. And he was wearing boots in the show. So I couldn't stick him in boots that he was going to wear for the show with no socks. It would have killed him. So be aware of what you're using in your show. Rehearse in something similar. If you don't have access to the boots, the shoes, the whatever, get as close as you can, okay? It involves everything. Fight scenes especially, whether it's with chopsticks or a real sword or anything else, anything or weapon, you need to wear something similar. So we had hard shoes and somebody gave him his socks. That's kind of gross to be in the height of summer and someone else gives you their socks to wear with hard shoes. But it got him to the point where he understood how he was fighting and the slippage on the stage. And we realized for the fighting he was doing with the chopsticks, he needed better traction on the bottom of his boots because they were very smooth. This is important. We don't want any accidents. Rehearsal skirts, jackets, if you're wearing a veil or a headdress or a hat, check these things out. Try to find something in your own wardrobe to mimic this. You know, there's so many tales of people not in rehearsal skirts or in rehearsal clothes. They had like a cloak or something or a cape in like a Dracula thing where they didn't rehearse in that. And then the people behind are covered up by the cape. We didn't know that until you had that giant thing on. Ask the costume shop if you can have these things ahead of time. I keep playing with my shirt so that we can see what's happening with that. So many skirts, when you don't have a rehearsal skirt that's the same length as what you're going to be wearing, skirts get stepped on by the people walking behind you because you never wore one, okay? If you can't get a hold of a rehearsal skirt because of cash or whatever, go to the Goodwill, go to the charity shop, find a long skirt that's crappy. I'm sure there's crappy stuff there as well as good stuff there, and buy it for cheap. If not, get a bed sheet that's all torn up and put it on under a belt. And that'll be your skirt. It's not a real skirt, but it'll mimic the train of your skirt, and we will understand there's some visual here There's some area not to step on. Just fabric, okay? Cheap. Always wear these things. It's better for you. Find shoes that are similar. If you're wearing heels as a woman, find shoes that are similar in height. Tell the costume shop what you're doing. If it's an action show, tell them what you're doing. Often costume designers, they put in really high heels and the woman is running across the stage. This is dangerous, okay? Maybe your high heel is the same high heel, but it needs a strap or something else or more grip on the bottom. Communicate with your costume designers about what your show is doing. This is also something to be told to the production manager, the stage manager. Write these in the notes. Write these, the notes that go out to everyone, especially the costume shop. Sometimes with a special email. Did you see the notes? We have an action portion in this part where you have this really tight skirt or this really tight jacket and the shoes need to have traction on them. This is really important. We don't want to lose any of your actors, singers, dancers, whatever, because of lack of foresight about the costumes and what they're doing to the body. Okay. Finally, if you sweat profusely, if you find that you're just a regular person, but you're like, oh, we're outside and it's going to be hot during this week of performances, and I sweat when it reaches these degrees. This is something you need to think about, and you need to figure out what works for you and your body, and perhaps tell your dresser or the costume people, I imagine by the end of the night, this jacket, this skirt, this vest, this whatever, will be very sweaty. Please have something on hand, or realize that it needs to be aired out every night, not just shoved in a hanger with all the other costumes crowding in next to it. It needs to be on its own to dry out, perhaps with a fan on it for the next day's performance. This is important. It's often forgotten about, okay? But you do what you can to prevent that sweat from ruining your stuff, your makeup, your costume, sweating through your costume, if that's not the story of the play. All right. I hope a lot of high school students and university students and first-time actors and costume designers are listening to this. These are things we forget, but they don't have to be forgotten. It's your responsibility to figure these things out. And for actors, directors to speak up. Did you know this is happening? The show is more active than you think, or whatever the issue is, because sometimes people are putting you in costumes and they just kind of think you're standing there with a drink in your hand and wandering around slowly. And that's not your that's not your show. That's not your story. All right, please like and subscribe, and we'll come back for more. And I may wear my fancy pink shirt again, just to reiterate, costumes are important. Okay, thanks. Talk to you again soon.